Wow, wow, wow. What a transition, right? I was supposed to go live on Instagram, but apparently I'm not eligible. So right now I'm just gonna send a quick text just so if anyone was going to catch my live, that they know where to find me. So not that we'll see how many people come on. It's literally the first live, so it's okay. Um, I'll just send a quick text and just say live on YouTube. Okay. So for anyone that's tuning in, definitely just write where you're tuning from, wherever you are in the world. And today we're going to be doing a live about loneliness, from loneliness to building connection. So I'm also going to share my screen too. And let me just send one more text actually. Okay. Live now. Okay. So what I actually also want to do too is share my screen. I think that would be great so you can actually get the full view. So it's not just me talking. So bear with me here while I figure this out. Mm, yes. Okay. Pretty sure you guys can see this now. I'm just gonna here and then let me see how it looks like on the screen. Oh, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Mm. Okay, so yeah. Okay. Awesome. We so far have one person. Okay, so I put 60 minutes, but we'll just do let's do 45. I actually needed to switch if I was going to do that. Okay. Nevertheless, enough nonsense. Let's get started. So from loneliness to connection. So this entire is about reaching out, showing up, and letting yourself be seen. So loneliness is not a failure, it's information. And it's important to know that because a lot of times when we don't know that, we can be really hard on ourselves. And we're like, oh my goodness, I'm feeling lonely. Is something wrong with me? No, this is information, just like emotions are information for your body. And it's letting you know what needs are not being met. What are you needing more of in your life? What are you needing less of? So, anytime we are tapping into our emotions and our mind, this is information. And then with that information, then we're able to move forward. And then we know what to do once we figure out how to actually do it. And that in itself is a journey. And three important points here is that loneliness does not equal to being alone. You can be in a room full of people with your friends, with your family, with your colleagues, and still feel lonely. And that's so important because when you know that, hey, first of all, that's not weird if you feel alone in a crowd, right? And then also that there is a disconnection between desired and actual connection. So essentially, what that means is that when you're feeling a sense of loneliness, that right there is information of where you are presently. And then you can start to get curious of where you want to be. And then there's that missing gap of, okay, how to actually get there. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let me just see here if anyone commented anything. And then, yeah, also, if you resonate with anything, definitely feel free to write in the chat. No pressure. You do not have to do that. And let's talk about the first type of loneliness. And I also realized I didn't even introduce myself. So my name is Angela, founder of Flow State Activated. So this is a all-in-one fitness platform. We have fitness classes, fitness trainings, workshops like what we're doing right now, and we have guides. And all of that is to help you feel supported and be held accountable on your fitness journey. And when we talk about fitness, it's not just working out or eating healthy, it's about mindset, helping you know how to tackle the emotional and mental challenges that come along on your fitness journey. So, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the first type of loneliness, which is emotional. So, this is when we are having a lack of deep connection and intimacy. So, a common phrase, and even if you don't say this phrase exactly, this really just drives the point across. No one really knows me. No one really understands me. So, you, again, like this is where that connection of you can be in a room full of people and still feel alone. So it's important to know this type of emotion or this type of loneliness because when you know, hey, I feel lonely, but okay, now let's get down to the root. What type of loneliness are you actually experiencing? And then that's when you're going to move from the actual reality of where you are to where you want to be, your desired space. So emotional loneliness, like it's you just not feeling understood. So let's talk about the second type. The second type of loneliness is social loneliness. So this type of loneliness is lack of community, belonging. You don't have a group. So in the very first slide that I show, you may have people in your life that you can connect to on emotional level. But you don't have a community, a tribe. And that's so important. People that you can relate to and connect to, and they really just emphasize your journey, whether it's with fitness, nutrition, even outside of that, whatever your interests are, hobbies, your career, it's important to just be a part of something, have a sense of community. Let me see if continue in. The third type is existential loneliness. So, this one, so we talked about the first one, which is the emotional loneliness. You're not really feeling understood. The second type, which is not having that community, that sense of belonging. And the third type is very purpose driven. So, lack of meaning, lack of purpose. What's the point? So, waking up and just not really knowing what is it that drives you forward in your day-to-day life. So you may have a community, but that community may be very surface layer. You may have people who you do talk to about what's going on in your life, but you actually having a deep core of purpose, of drive, of what is helping you move forward, that is not what you have. Okay, so we talked about all three types of loneliness. And everything that I just mentioned is these are the common types. So these are the types that when you're experiencing loneliness, at least now you have a name to connect to. When you're feeling lonely, okay, what do I need? Do I need to have a community, a place where there are people who are on a similar journey, a similar path as you? When it comes to emotions, are you able to talk to somebody one on one and not put a facade on, not put a face on, and actually truly express what is going on inside of you? And the third type is, do you have a reason for existing, for moving on, for going? And this doesn't have to be so big. Everything I'm saying, you can be small too. The most important point that I'm trying to come across is that when you're feeling lonely, it's important to know what exactly you are experiencing, because when you know what you're experiencing, then this is when you can solve the problem. Okay, so this is a self awareness exercise. So, what you to know is, first of all, this entire presentation, this is not me talking at you. This is me also learning as well. And I hope you know that there's that sense of relatedness, that I too experience loneliness and went on a path of figuring out what type of loneliness it was and how to fill in that gap. So let's talk about this right now, the self awareness exercise. So I'll use myself as an example. I feel most lonely when, let's see here, for me, um, hmm, I would say probably in the evening times. That's It's not like that anymore, but it was like that when I had that sense of loneliness. And the thoughts I have in those moments are, let me just go back into that. Um, Not really having a sense of connection. And what do I usually do when I feel lonely? So at that time, what I was using, I say that emotional eating, I think that, I mean, that's what I was using to cope. It's so easy to just put a movie on and you're watching something and then, you just go to bed. So, what did I actually need in these moments? Having real connection, real conversations with people. And here's the thing, like when it comes to sense of loneliness, you can experience this at different periods of your life. So for me, emotional loneliness, that's something that I was experiencing. And this happened after I lost my best friend or me going through divorce, when those two big gaps were in my life and figuring out how to fill in those gaps. But I didn't even know that there was such a thing as emotional loneliness. But when I went onto that journey to figure out, oh, what I'm experiencing is loneliness. Oh, it's emotional loneliness. And then right here, this self awareness exercise, going in depth and figuring out exactly what's going on here. And this is a level of vulnerability that, you know, take your time with it. The more honest you are, then this is when healing and this is when you're able to move forward on your journey. Healing occurs and you're able to move forward on your journey. And you're able to move from feeling a sense of loneliness to having that area of your emotional health be fulfilled. And that is possible. I know it's hard to actually conceptualize that, like, oh, and yeah, that makes complete sense because when you don't, when you're not experiencing that, it's hard for you to see that, hey, this is actually an experience that is true and I can have in my life. So take a moment to really think about when you feel most lonely, what thoughts you're having in these moments, what you usually do when you feel lonely, and what do you actually need in these moments. The great thing about this exercise is you can always come back to it. The whole point of this workshop is anytime you're feeling lonely, come back to this. So then you know, okay, I'm feeling lonely. These are the common types of loneliness that people experience. And let me do this exercise to really figure out what's going on. Okay, so now let's get into solving the problem. So I'm going to introduce you to the 3C system. This is connect, consistency, create. So this system is actually going to help you when you are experiencing the emotions of loneliness. And these workshops that I do, it's not just about me talking about experiences with you or you talking about your experiences or motivating you. I want you all to have tangible steps so you know exactly what to do. A lot of the reasons why this is very hard for us to get to the point where we're feeling emotionally and mentally secure with ourselves is because a lot of these steps are intangible. So it's not like it's tangible. For example, if you have a math problem and I can actually tell you step by step how to solve the math problem, it's easy for you to get to that place and for you to see, oh, yeah, I'm struggling with this math problem. Let me just ask my teacher to figure out how to do this one, two, and three. Steps one, two, and three. And you can actually solve the problem, you practice, and then before you know it, you know how to solve the math problem that you were once struggling with. That is possible also too with your emotional and your mental health and your spiritual health as well. So important, those three factors. Okay, let's talk about the systems. So, connect. This is going to connect to your emotional loneliness. Consistency. This is going to connect to your social loneliness. And create. This is going to connect to your existential loneliness. And all these three really do come together beautifully. And that's going to really take away that feeling of loneliness. So anytime you have that feeling of loneliness, then you can tap into the self-awareness exercise that I talked about, and then you can move into the action portion. And also, with you feeling lonely, we'll talk about this in the future, getting to the point when you actually know you're feeling lonely. Because in order for you to actually know you're feeling lonely, you have to have that self-awareness within yourself and your emotions that you can connect what exactly is going on. You're having feelings that you don't really like that you're experiencing right now in your life, being able to connect what exactly emotion that is, and then you can move forward with this system if loneliness is what you are experiencing. Okay, let's see. Talk about it. So connect, be seen, and feel known. So what this really is a lot of times when we're lonely, we subconsciously, want people somehow, some way to like check in on us. We don't really want to say, hey, I'm feeling lonely, It's, yeah. But here's the thing, I know it's very backwards, but you basically have to put yourself out there when you are experiencing these feelings. So when you're feeling emotionally lonely, instead of that connection coming to you or you just randomly experiencing it, you have to go out to seek that connection so you can actually feel and experience that connection. So, this is, for example, one honest message a day. So, just look at the people on your phone in your contact list and also make sure that this person who you are talking to is someone who you trust, you feel emotionally safe with, because you don't want to share an honest message with someone and they are not providing a safe space for you and they're just kind of disregarding the emotion that you're actually carrying that is honest and sacred to you. all the emotions that you have, or just you in general, always just know you are a treasure chest. And within that treasure chest, you have different treasures, your diamonds, your gold, your silver. And it's important that when you're giving this out, that you're giving it out to people who are actually going to truly treasure it. And an example of this, if you had gold and you were to give it to another individual, they would be like, "Oh my goodness, this is gold." And you can, talk to them about it, and they know the value of what you're giving them. It's gold. But if you give a cheap pansy gold, they're going to play with it and they're probably just going to throw it away. And you don't want that. And that's very, that really does connect with our lives. You want to make sure you give the parts of yourself to people who are going to really, really cherish it. One honest message a day. This is not like dumping and saying, "Hey, this happened in my life." Like, this is you just being like, "Oh," and I want to rephrase that. You're not like, um, uh, the word what I'm trying to look for is you're not putting a facade. You should be able to be real with your friends. So yeah, it is going to feel really weird at first. But whatever you're going throughout your day, that's a good example. Share that. You're being honest. Not everything is peaches and rainbows and roses, right? You're having honesty. Hey, I don't really like the job I'm working in right now. Or, man, this big week has been really tough. One voice or in person conversation. So I know that we live in a time period where technology is very prominent, and everyone, you can have like your friends and family that live all over the place. So you actually seeing day-to-day people, your loved ones, it's becoming less and less uncommon. So it's so important that you are maintaining that connection. Talk on the phone, give your loved one a call. And even if it's not reciprocal, like, give them a call. Hey, just checking in. How's your week going? Talk about you. And there you go. At least you're having some sort of connection with someone once a week. Or see them in person if you can. One vulnerability share per week. So this could be like as you're having that honest conversation, or here, having, or no, no, no. As you're texting and you're saying one honest happened throughout the week, then that can lean in and open up into a conversation. Or if you're on the phone, you can talk about what's going on in your life. And again, kind of weird at first, it may, but with everything else, you'll feel more and more comfortable. And there is that learning curve. You'll know how much to share, when to pull back, who's the right person to share with, who's not, and etc. And anytime you are testing, you definitely want to not go all in. I would just test it out. Start with the lighter truths, and if it feels good, they are showing on a consistent basis that they hold that space for you, then you can open up to the deeper truths. And if you don't have anyone in your life that you can do that to, that is okay. You know why that's okay? Because there are spaces that are safe that you can do that, like support groups. Nomni NYC, I'll actually put the link down below for NYC. I can definitely vouch for them. That's a great space, a mental health space that you can really open up in a peer setting, and they are going to create that safe space for you. And you can also feel heard because people have similar experiences. And they also have, there's another one. It's called Sharewell. I'll also link it. Can't vouch for that one, but it's a peer support space, and it's not just with mental health. It's like emotional health, and they have like workshops, people hosting different groups, peer connects, and That right there is also an option you can use too. Okay, I know I'm going really deep with what are about, and you can always come back to this as well. Consistency. Okay, so this is going to connect to social loneliness. So this is you are building belonging through repetition. So when it comes to social loneliness, it's about the consistency part. So the consistency is attending 1 to 2 anchor places weekly, talking to the same 1 or 2 people each time. And I actually switch this because, I mean, for me, when it comes to time, oh my gosh, I am not a person as of right now that I'm like on time to things. It varies. So, but nevertheless, you want to have like your 1 to 2 anchor places. So this could be the gym, maybe church, maybe a community recreation center, library, a space that you enjoy, that you like to go to, and you're going to that space 1 to 2 times a week and making sure it works with your schedule. You don't want this to be where you're feeling burnt out, but this is a space where you can actually make friends and have a sense of community. And you can talk to everyone at the space, but if you really want to create the sense of community, make it a point to talk to the same 1 or 2 people each time. This is how relationships build, and this is how friendships build. And then when you arrive early, this is when, like, let's say there's an event going on, there's that space that nobody is really doing anything, and you can strike up a conversation with the people there, like, oh, are you excited for this event? Where are you located? Where do you live? And then you may have common interests, and then it just goes on from there. And what I actually was going to put before this was showing up at the same time each time, which I do still think this is valid because when you're showing up at the same time each time, most likely the same people are going to be there. But if you're a person that you can't do that, and then, life is life, just showing up early, that can still work with time where you go early enough that you can actually talk to people and get to know them. And yeah, the reason why this is so important to know is because, first of all, I find that this is like very, very common. The social loneliness, especially since COVID-19, as you're getting older, this tends to dwindle. Even that period after college, too, and you're just entering the workforce, this is when this kind of creeps in, the social loneliness. Because, see, in school settings, this is literally what you were doing. You went to school 5 days a week. You're with the same people. If you went early or like in between break periods, you talked to your friends, you were forming friendships. So when you don't know how to do this, it's hard to know how to actually make friends as an adult. So if you want to know how to make friends as an adult, this is how to do it. And choose spaces I definitely recommend of hobbies and interests that you're either really passionate about right now, currently in this moment, or have a curiosity to do. And then you have that community. And then what works great is that you don't feel so alone when you're actually going on this journey of this new hobby or interest that you are embarking. Okay, let's talk about the last one. Okay, we're doing pretty good here. We're getting there. Almost done here. Okay, so the last one is create. Oh, this is so, so, so important. Because, okay, you may have people in your life you can talk to about your emotions and your feeling and just your feelings and what's going on. You probably have that sense of community, your go-to places of Yeah, where you don't feel alone in your interests and etc. But there's that lack within yourself that connects to purpose, where you feel like you should be doing more, or that there's not depth in your life. And this is where feel meaning, expression, and self connection comes in. Okay. And this is something that definitely, for me, this definitely changed my life. Like when it came to loneliness, this also, too, was one that I definitely had challenges with. Daily minutes of creation. It can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but just have time that you're creating. Doesn't have to be big, like you have to do an entire painting or have an entire business and all of this. It could literally just be journaling, or it could be what else can take minutes? If you have a project, just breaking it down where like, oh, I'm just gonna do 5 minutes of this. Maybe you color a little flower, paint a little flower, and then come back. And you want to get to the point where you're getting comfortable with it. Your body and mind is getting comfortable, and then you can build, and eventually you can carve out space for this creativity time. Once a week, definitely do a meaning building activity where you're letting your creativity shine, especially in the workforce when you work a 9 to 5 and you're in a space where you basically have like templates of your job just tells you, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. If you do this, you're good. You show up on time, you get paid, right? So you want to have an outlet outside of that. This is basically a hobby. Having space that you can dedicate once a week to doing your hobby that you fully love and you enjoy, or this is minutes of creation where maybe it's just researching a new hobby or learning more about it. That right there is about self connection. And then you can apply of the one time a week. And then weekly energy audit. This is how is this activity making me feeling? Am I feeling energized or am I feeling depleted? And then this is when you know to either choose a different form of creation, or you can just pivot, or you can just adjust it. And as time goes on, you're going to have your go tos. And even so, you have go tos, it's always important to revisit and just see how you're doing. And after some months or years, you may want to do something different. Okay, 10 minutes. So, loneliness plan. Here's the thing, your brain is so fast, and how your brain works is it goes by automatic systems that are in place. Either these automatic systems are what we manually audit, or subconsciously it's audited for us, and then we just do. So when we're talking about this, like for example, all of this that we talked about, I'll give you an example. Subconsciously, it's audited and we just do. So subconsciously, I felt emotionally lonely. And what I would do is in the evening time, how I would cope with that is I'm going into my sugar cravings. And that right there can spiral. Like that is, first of all, a very common way of coping. This can spiral into gluttony. This can, just spiral into I wasn't showing up the way that I wanted to show up. And then, that's just what I was doing. It was just an automatic response. And when I took a deeper dive into what exactly was going on, I realized the connections that I was missing, which was the emotional connection starting to be more real, even though I didn't have my best friend or my husband, finding the people in my life where I can share honestly with, or the uh, loneliness that has to do with existential loneliness, finding an outlet for that. So, me creating this, like, I love entrepreneurship and business. That right there is where I can contribute and having a sense of purpose. And even if it's not that, I have things that I just love to do. Like, I love to do poetry, and I love to also just write in general, and art, and dancing and music and all of that. So I say this to say that once you want to get to the point where you yourself are manually having systems in place for you, as opposed to just systems that are already in place that are no longer serving you. And these systems in place, a lot of them derive from our childhood, where we didn't take the time to update. So we're constantly just repeating the same actions and having the same experiences in our lives that we don't want to. It's not serving us. We're not moving forward because we don't manually audit systems or update the systems that's no longer serving us. So this is exactly an example of what this would be. So when you're lonely, instead of blank, what you usually do, you will blank. You eventually will get to that point where you can just answer this fluidly. You know for a fact this works for you. And then when you do know what exactly works for you, you can just leave it as is, or sometimes, or at times, or when the time is right, you may need to come back and see, hey, is it time to update this because it's no longer working? Okay. So, any questions? We covered so much. And even if you don't have any questions now, it's okay. You can definitely just comment, or you can DM me on any of my social media handles. And if you enjoy this, I actually have a 30-day challenge, Loneliness to Connection. It's so amazing because it's a calendar and you can literally just mark it off of activities that are super small, very clear of what to do. And this is going to help you um, fill the void of loneliness, whether it's social loneliness, emotional loneliness, or existential loneliness. And then you're building that tolerance. So you're not just chasing instant loneliness, but it builds over time doing this challenge. And yeah, each week has a focus. You also get, if you do this challenge, a one pager of this entire workshop. So if you want to come back and listen to it, you can, or you can just look at that PDF and skim through. It's just one page of like, oh, this is exactly what we talked about today. Let me try just 30-day challenge. And I've also attached resources. So these resources are from books to podcasts to what else? Just any type of resources that can really just support you on this journey. All right. So I just want to thank you all so much for coming to this workshop, whether you have attended it right now or you will be watching this in the future. I hope you know that you're not alone. It's not weird to feel any of these feelings. It's human. To be human is to experience all emotions. And the trick is really just how to move forward with the emotions. That's what makes a difference. That is what it means to be human, not about suppression, but it's about expression. Because how we express emotion, how we express our emotions determines what happens in our lives. So, if you enjoyed this video, please comment down below. Let's comment a heart because we talked about connection today. And if you liked this video, definitely give a thumbs up, like it. If you really do enjoy my content, make sure you subscribe. And if you know anyone in your life that would benefit from this, please make sure you share much for coming. And until next time, I think this is a good place to pause. Peace and blessings.